How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down Podcast, the show where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. Today, in episode number 234 of the podcast, we're going to be discussing Justin Fields and how he has performed so far in Bears OTAs. ESPN's Jeff Dickerson came out today and said that he has been exceeding expectations, according to sources, and he has had a lot of praise from Matt Nagy as well as a lot of his teammates. So we're going to be diving into that. But before we get into it, I would like to say we're trying to post Bears content each and every day, get you guys the most comprehensive coverage on the web. So wherever you are listening right now, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube, do us a favor, drop a like if you're listening on YouTube, and follow or subscribe on any of those platforms because we're going to be bringing you guys Bears offseason content and coverage of the 2021-2022 NFL season all year. So be sure to join us, and we're going to keep the content coming to you guys. I am your host, Chris Malpe. Today, on this lovely Friday afternoon, I am joined with my co-host, Jaylen McClinton. Jaylen, what's going on? How you doing?
It's going good. Just enjoying my summer now since it's officially summer, watching baseball and stuff like that. But that's about it.
Yeah, same here. A lot of baseball watching for sure. Cubs and White Sox, both on a tear still. I saw a huge beer snake last night at I still call it the Cell, but at Guaranteed Rate Field. Wrigley doesn't really enjoy that, but it seems like they're fine with it at U.S. Cellular, as I'm going to continue to call it, just like I still call the Sears Tower the Sears Tower. There's some stuff in Chicago that just sticks, and Guaranteed Rate Field just doesn't stick. But
that's like changing something.
Yeah, no kidding. But we've got a lot to talk about today. I mean, obviously, Jaylen, we saw the Bears draft Justin Fields, trade up for their franchise quarterback. They've still got Andy Dalton and Nick Foles on the roster, but sources say that Fields is already exceeding all the expectations set for him in camp. Matt Nagy came out yesterday after the second day of OTA, or one of the first days of OTAs, and said he's done a really good job at just trying to digest everything we are trying to teach this offense in particular right now. He's extremely, extremely calm, which I love. So when something bad happens and the next play rolls around, it doesn't matter to him because he's so calm and has confidence in himself. Now, he also received a lot of praise from his teammates. Running back David Montgomery, who was coming off a year where he was top 5 in rushing yards, said Justin is definitely a freakish athlete, to say the least. He already kind of carries that leader mantra or mentality that you rarely see in rookies that I know I didn't have coming into the league. So, Jaylen, I mean, it seems like Fields is already showing out here at OTAs. Obviously, they are voluntary. A lot of the Bears' offensive talents have been showing up because there's obviously 2 new quarterbacks. The only notable missing player has been Allen Robinson, who is still looking for a contract extension and is playing this year on the franchise tag. Not many of the defensive starters showing up. Only notable one probably is Roquan Smith. But for what you've seen and heard out of OTA so far, does this news about Fields outperforming his expectations come as any sort of a surprise to you?
No, I'm surprised that they really they had low expectations for him. I'm not surprised that he's outperforming them. I'm surprised they had low expectations, or maybe he's just doing that well that they had a decent expectation. He's just outperforming, greatly. So I'm not, surprised at all. We already know he's a talented player. He has a nonchalant attitude. He always looks locked in. When he was drafted, he looked locked in. When he was, going to, when we were having his, introductory press conference, he was locked in and stuff like that. So he comes in and he plays football. So I'm not surprised that he's outperforming expectations at all.
Yeah, and I said it a couple of days ago, and I've said it ever since the Bears drafted Fields, but this is not a Mitchell Trubisky situation where you're bringing in a quarterback who only started for a season and is more of someone that you have to develop immediately when he gets there. I think Ryan Day and the staff at Ohio State did a great job with Justin Fields, and you also have to realize that he started 2 solid seasons playing college football on the biggest stage against powerhouse teams. He had 35 college starts, was one of the better college football quarterbacks of all time, and especially this generation. So I don't think the expectations for Fields were essentially low, but I'm not surprised whatsoever that he's outperforming them. And I think he's going to continue to do that moving forward, regardless of whether or not he gets the week 1 start. So let's move into that a little bit. ESPN's Jeff Dickerson does right when it comes to the Bears' plans at quarterback moving forward. Chicago's immediate plan at quarterback is clear. Nagy revealed a couple of days ago that Fields is slated to open the regular season as the number 2 quarterback behind starter Andy Dalton and in front of third stringer Nick Foles, who missed Wednesday's open practice for personal reasons. The Bears strongly believe the positive influences provided by Dalton and Foles, coupled with Nagy's offense and coaching staff, can develop Fields into the franchise passer the Bears desperately need. So, Jaylen, obviously, it came out yesterday, it was reiterated that Andy Dalton was promised a week 1 job. It's not really new news, but you would have to assume that he was promised a job before Justin Fields was in Chicago. I don't think they could have ever envisioned that he would have landed in their laps, and everything with the 2021 NFL draft would have played out where he would have been able to fall into their hands before they promised Dalton a job. So even though it was reiterated recently by Nagy and Dalton that he'll be the week 1 starter, do you think that could change? We see Fields outperforming expectations. We also probably have to realize that Dalton was promised the job before Fields was drafted, but do you think there's any chance that that could change moving forward? We've seen NFL teams and specifically the Bears go back on what they've said in the past millions and millions of times. So do you think there's any chance that Fields could still eke out the week 1 start?
I think it's definitely a chance that it could change because you never know what can happen in training camp. Hopefully, barring any injuries, that like I said, Andy Dalton could get hurt or something like that, and that will make Justin Fields the starter week 1. I definitely think that could change though. But who knows at this point? Like I said before, usually Nagy sticks to his word, even if it's only for a week or two. Coming into week 1 versus the Rams, I still think that could be Andy Dalton unless Justin Fields comes out and dominates him in training camp.
Yeah, and I do think it's going to be more competitive than people expect. I think Andy Dalton also realizes that this is going to be a 1-term gig to try and get himself some rep back and play some good football.
Take that $2 million
continue to get signed. Yeah, exactly. So that he can build up some rep for himself if he gets any time on the field. But I think he realized it's a 1-year gig, and it's going to be interesting to see how he balances not only trying to be a starter, but also aiding in Fields becoming a better quarterback. And I do think the one reason I do like them keeping Nick Foles around is because he's been a great mentor in the past. He's always someone who's worked with whatever situation his team has put him in terms of whether that be starting shoes or third string shoes like we see now. It's been kind of a fall from grace for Nick Foles, but I'm glad he's still around because he'll definitely aid in the development of Fields. But you know what? I do think it could change. I'm not entirely sure how it would happen, but considering that Fields is exceeding expectations, I do think it's going to be more competitive in camp based on just simply that. And also what I said earlier, he's not someone who has training wheels. I think he will be ready to go. A lot of people online are saying, why throw him in against the Rams, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald? This team has to win games. It's going to be about who goes out there and gives yourself a better chance to win. Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, even though they did just draft Justin Fields, if they have a bad season, they could be out of Chicago, and we could see a whole new task force in next year working with Fields in year 2. So it's about winning games. I think it's going to be Justin Fields' team at some point in 2021. The question's just going to be when. And as we get more into training camp and see more footage and stuff, it's going to be interesting. But if you watch the documentary that the Bears put out yesterday, 1920 Football Drive, obviously the address of Hallis Hall, you could see rookie mini camps and everything they had going on with that. And you could see guys like John DeFilippo, the quarterback's coach, Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator, absolutely gawking over Foles. Man, I'm still living in 2020. Gawking over Fields, his ability to already process plays in the huddle, his confidence, his calmness. So I think it'll be a little bit more competitive than we think in training camp. We've been having this conversation for a while, and we're going to continue to have it moving forward until there's any new developments. But I don't think the job is 100% Dalton's. I think that probably is the way that it ends up spilling out, and we see Justin Fields in the first quarter to maybe halfway point of the 2021 season. But I don't think anything is 100% guaranteed in the National Football League. It's a business at the end of the day, and the Bears have to do what they have to do to be able to win. So, Jaylen, you'd have to at least assume, based on Fields and his position right now, something that he's going to be able to need to get used to, and the reason he might be benched for a couple of weeks is because he has to get used to the play speed of the NFL and how everything works. So it seems like the preseason is going to be really indicative on what happens with his future and whether or not he starts. So I want to ask you, before we close this one off, how important do you think the preseason is to when Justin Fields will get the chance to start? Because that's going to be the first time he'll get opportunities against an actual NFL defense. You would assume probably at some point in those preseason games he'll be able to play against some ones as well as obviously some twos and some threes, but he's going to get some actual game speed under his belt before the regular season gets underway. So how important do you think the preseason is on when he gets a chance to start and how he performs there?
I think it's very important. I'm pretty sure they shortened it down to 3 games instead of 4 this season, right?
Yeah, because they added the 17th regular season game.
Usually the third game would be the what's it called? Dress rehearsal, where like the starters playing into the third quarter. So who knows when that dress rehearsal will be? Will it be the second game or will it be be the first of the preseason? So I think he's going to play pretty much every single game since he's not a guaranteed starter yet. Especially more in the third game. That's where most of the backups get a chance to play the whole game. So if he performs well, and I think he can, I think he can come out to the preseason and perform very well. It's definitely going to be huge on knowing if he's ready or not to start week 1.
Yeah, and the Bears have the third toughest strength of schedule when it comes to the regular season. So I think those preseason reps, both for Dalton and Foles, are going to be super important. Dalton's going to have to continue to play well and show that he is the starter.
Yeah.
And show that he's comfortable in this Bill Lazor offense that you would assume he'd be able to pick up a little bit quicker than Fields, even though Fields has the best IQ of any quarterback ever drafted based on some tests. But I think it's going to be important for Fields to show that he can do it against a real defense, especially if it is close heading into camp. We never know what happens behind the scenes. We know that Fields is impressing now, so maybe he's gaining a little bit more rep right now in terms of, getting in the good graces of the Bears' coaches and maybe giving himself a chance at starting early on in the season. So I think the preseason is going to be real important for Justin Fields, and it should be interesting to see how it plays out. But we're going to keep you guys covered here regardless. It's exciting to see him performing well thus far, and hopefully he can keep it up and make things interesting because regardless, we know that Andy Dalton isn't going to be the answer. The fans need something to have hope about, so I think all of us want to see Justin Fields eventually at one point, whether that be week 1, week 4 in 2022. His time is coming, and it just depends on when. But his start so far in OTAs is definitely impressive. Thank you guys so much for tuning into episode 234 of the Bear Down podcast. If you would like more content from us, head over to our website, beardown.com. We're posting columns, articles, and blogs, getting it booted up once again, getting you guys training camp content and off-season content all summer. So be sure to go check out our website. The link is in the top of the description. And if you would like to find the podcast on social media, you can see guests that we're having on the show. It's a great way to interact with us and show us what you want to see, as well as enter our giveaways. We do a couple of giveaways a year. Definitely going to be giving away a Justin Fields jersey soon. Head over to our Instagram and Twitter pages to find out how to enter those giveaways at Bear Down on both platforms. The links are down in the description. And finally, you can find myself as well as Jaylen on Instagram and Twitter. The links to those are down in the description. It's another great way to interact with us, see our thoughts on all things Bears, the entire National Football League, as well as the entirety of Chicago sports. Definitely some good baseball, basketball takes on there right now. So be sure to check us out on both Instagram and Twitter. Jaylen McClinton, any plans this weekend? What are you up to? I know you got a baseball game today.
Nothing. Like it's the summer. I have nothing else to do. I'm just like I mean, watching like the Sox. I'm like, do I have homework to do? And I don't. So it's definitely still a weird feeling to be out of school. But I'm gonna just enjoy my weekend and watch sports all day, I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide whether to go to a AAA baseball game or a White Sox game. I'm leaning towards AAA, the Kane County Cougars. It's a team out by me. I believe that the MLB just announced that they're giving tickets to everyone who's vaccinated for all baseball teams in June. So if I could go to a Chicago Cubs game and a White Sox game for free, I'm a Cubs fan, but I'll root for the White Sox, obviously, when they're not playing the Cubs, and it's great to see them both tearing it up right now. That would be super cool. So a lot of baseball going on this summer. AAA tickets, you can go sit in a box for only like $15. So I assume it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, I like what you noted about school, because once school's off the plate, it gives us a lot more time to focus on this and be a lot less stressed and put time into content and stuff like that. So if you guys want Bears content every day of the week, you know what to do. Drop a like, follow on the podcasting platforms, and subscribe on YouTube, because we're going to keep it up, and we want to hit 5K YouTube subs by the end of the year, and we're going to keep grinding to be able to do that. And we love your guys' support. It keeps us motivated. So once again, it's been a pleasure to be your host. My name is Chris Malpe, and Bears fans, as always, do us a favor and stay safe and bear down. We'll see you guys this weekend with some more Bears content, probably some uncut episodes, as well as another podcast. But that's pretty much it for us, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.